Hello, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of Agiledad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Standup. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that I've recently seen again, and it has to do with that organization. And I'm sure you all know the organization I'm talking about, the one where I go in and I say, "So, tell me more about your Agile progress. Tell me about how you got started, what you're doing. Maybe what frameworks you selected, why you selected those. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve with Agile?" And they say, "Well, that's why we brought you in. We helped you." I'm like, "Well, outstanding. Well, let's start at the beginning." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, we're doing the Agile." I'm like, "You're doing the Agile?" They're like, "Yeah, we're doing the Agile. The one with the 5 Gs." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, here we go." Right? Anytime somebody puts the word "the" in front of the Agile, you know you're in trouble. But in this case, I want to talk about a specific organization. I'm not going to say by name. And this was their logic. They said, we took our current work breakdown structure, our current big giant technical user requirements document, and we broke it down into the amount of work that could be completed in 2 week increments. We set those as milestones in our Gantt chart. So we're doing Scrum. Excuse me? Is this some kind of new WAgile fragile thing that I don't know about? Is this one of those secret methods or secret ways to do safe that nobody taught me? It sounds funny when I say it, but it was just ridiculous. They insisted that because they broke their product or project work down into 2 week increments, that now they were all knowing and agile, and they just needed my help to keep the wheels on the bus to get things moving. Wow. Needless to say, I was floored a little bit, and I explained to them that just breaking your work down into 2 week sprints doesn't mean necessarily that you are doing the agile. But how many times do we find organizations who are cutting corners or trying to do things in a lesser way so that they can wear the agile merit badge, right? Agile seems to be the big buzzword lately. Again, it was for a while, then it went away, and now it's back. But and that's both good and bad. It's good because people want to learn more about agile, but it's bad because sometimes people go to the wrong training organization and they learn more about bad agile. And there's nothing worse than bad agile because then you have to unlearn bad agile to learn good agile. So it's just when I talk about learning about agility, I think it's important for us to follow the 6 tips that I gave yesterday for the recipe, the key ingredients, right, to applying agile correctly. And in keeping with that theme, I guess the this today's theme is, how do I know that I'm trying to do agile but I'm really not? What a touchy topic, right? Because so many organizations want to do agile, but sometimes you go into the organization and you're just thinking to yourself, you're like, man, in my heart of hearts, I wish I could say, yeah, that's agile, but it's not, right? And that happens. So what do you do when you run into that organization? What do you do when you run into that group and they're trying their best to do agile, but they just can't get their head around it? Or they really do believe they're doing agile and it's just not right. What do you do? And I think part of it has to do with the ability to have the right conversation. Now, what you do is different based on what your role is. If you're in the organization and you're part of a development team and you find that the organization proclaims to be doing agile but they're not, it's probably not your place to march into the CEO's office and say, we're not doing agile, unless you know the CEO personally and that's something you could do. Um, but if you're the scrum master, it might be your responsibility to walk up to somebody and say, maybe it'd be a good time for us to allocate a few dollars towards training and coaching and get ourselves up to speed, because I don't know that our definition of agile meets a traditional definition of agile. And it'd probably be good to get an outside opinion from a reputable source to help us make sure that we're guided or doing things the right way. And I think that organizations want this, but they struggle. Most of the time, the struggle that they have is financially. They're not prepared to shell out the hundreds of dollars an hour needed to get a solid agile coach in to help them get on their feet. They're trying to look to cut corners. They'll hire less expensive coaches. They'll bring in people from other organizations that are larger that won't spend the time to get to know them personally and the things and the goals that they're trying to achieve. There are lots of pitfalls and slippery areas where people just don't necessarily dig in and get the job done. So I guess for me, it all starts with, do you have an internal coach that can help you? Do you have an internal project management office or PMO that supports Agile? Or are you planning on bringing in someone from the outside to help you with your Agile implementation? Now, no harm, no foul. What I can tell you is the organizations that bring in external help usually adopt a lot faster and they do it with a lot less confusion and errors. So I'm not saying it's a must have, but what I am saying is it's a high should have, right? High priority should have to have help from the outside, because it will never hurt you to have someone from the outside come in and give you a second opinion, unless you hire the cheapest person to fill the pothole, in which case the information you might be getting from the outside could be incorrect. But as long as you have someone reputable who can go in and help you establish what you should be doing, your Agile should not fail. It should not flail. You shouldn't feel pressure from the outside of doing things right or wrong. You should know that you're on the right path if you have the right coach in place. But back to the original question. The question originally was, I'm doing these few things, so I think I'm doing Agile, but what hazards do I see? One is nothing tangible is ever being delivered. Two, the team always has outstanding debt. Three, people aren't focused because they don't have a clear vision and strategy. And I think that any combination of these, if you take those away, it causes the team to feel scared. It causes them to feel rightfully scared. It causes them to feel like that there's no end in sight, that they don't know what they should be delivering. You'll see bewilderment, amazement. You'll see executives say, well, that's not the Agile I learned. You'll see people going to disparate courses to try to learn things, and no one will be on the same page. So to fix this shouldn't be too difficult. It's a matter of finding someone that you trust to help guide you and your teams through this agile waiting pool, if you will. And I think that sometimes it's easier said than done, but in most cases it's something that with the help of a sound coach, you should be able to navigate through pretty soundly. So there you have it for today. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. As always, we encourage you to tune in to Agiledad.com, where you can learn more about this broadcast episode and any others. And if you have something you want us to cover, don't forget to reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com, where we'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.